can't see straight, like my eyes will cross. I'm chafing in the butt crack, my anus.
What's up everybody, welcome back. My name is Chris Shavarma and today I'm going to be talking about my first ever ultra marathon experience. I entered without experience whatsoever a 100 miles race, and a lot of things went extremely well and some very important things went extremely bad. So I'm going to do a recap of the race, my summary, and thoughts, questions I have looking into the future. So let's start with the race. This race is called the 100 Meilen Mauerweglauf Berlin. So it's a course of 100 miles and it goes all along the Berlin Wall. So many of you know that Germany was divided in East and West Germany, but not everyone knows that East Germany, within that perimeter, there was a small part of West Germany as well, and that was West Berlin. So they enclosed that area of Berlin, which was West Berlin, and they built a wall around it. So this is the 100 miles you run by entering this race. The race was started 13 years ago, and the aim is a political one. It is organized to commemorate people who got killed trying to escape socialist Germany. And this year, for example, they commemorated the life of Silvio Proksch, who was killed very near the starting line of this race at the age of 21. It's not only an athletic background that feeds this race, but also a political, historical one. Now, how did I decide to run this race? Well, I had taken notice of it already about 10 years ago. And I was like, wow, 100 miles, that sounds amazing. I want to run it. Then I found out it's organized around the 13th of August. That's my birthday. It's my daughter's birthday. The wall was built on the 13th of August, 1961. I was celebrating my 44th birthday. So I said, oh, that's a nice coincidence. And also my father, he escaped socialist Germany and he went out and migrated to Guatemala, where he met my mother and I was born. So a lot of elements, personal elements, fed the motivation to start thinking about running this race. But it was through YouTube that I had the privilege of meeting Simon Tragesa, with whom I ran this race. And last year we met up and we had a burpee session in the south of Germany, and we started talking about running. It turns out he also had the interest of running his first ultra marathon. And that's exactly what I proposed to him. And I told him about this race and he said, let's do this. And I was like, hell yeah. So he made a video with a recap of the race. I'm going to link it down below. Do watch it. He says that if it weren't for me, he would have never run this race. But likewise, if it weren't for him, I probably wouldn't have entered this race. At least not yet. So it was through friendship, camaraderie. I found a teammate that I found the courage to commit to this race. So time passed, November, you were able to enter the race and you had to wait 9 months and run the race. Time passes, I'm training really good. I'm consistently running between 50 and 100 Ks per week. I'm training based on heart rate frequency, zone 2, zone 3, specifically the Phil Maffetone rule, which is a way to find a sweet spot in your aerobic zone, and I delved into this and I found it very useful for my training. So I was doing long sessions, religiously running half marathons, just getting to run. Time passed and we're entering August. I had a couple of long runs before the race. I only ran one marathon distance for training, and the ultra marathon is 4 marathons in a row. It's the 15th of August or 16th. I met up with Simon Tragesa. We registered, got our numbers, got our stuff for the race. The next day, Saturday 17th of August, we're at the starting line. I had a good night's sleep. We got there at 5:30. Simon said he felt very well, although he wasn't able to sleep as good as I did. But we had high hopes, and I was entering with an empty mind. You know, I was curious. How's it gonna go? Will I be able to finish? Spoiler alert, I did not finish. I stopped at 99K, but we'll get there in a minute. So the race starts, the countdown begins. It was exciting.
In 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Viel Spaß!
And we start running. Simon is a faster runner than I am, and he took off. So I'm running at a very comfortable pace, 6:30 minutes per K. You had 8 stations all along the course. I would say a minimum of 28 stations, so maybe you run 10K, another 8 station, then it's 8K, another 8 station, and so on and so forth. So I'm running, thinking 8 station to 8 station. You get there, you fill up your bottle of water, you drink something, there's food on the table, a great selection, there's fruits, there's bread, there's cake. I'm running, and I reached the 40K mark, and that was 1/4 of the course, and I'm feeling quite good. I'm talking to Simon, telling him, man, I feel amazing, this can go on. So I kept running, reached the 50K, 60K, 70K. At 70K, I was already feeling the heat. It got up to 30 degrees Celsius that day, which is about 85 degrees Fahrenheit. So I was hot under the sun. There was lots of shadows, but I was drinking well. I had my food. And I entered one of the 8 stations, and for the first time I see this huge pot of potatoes. I take a potato, I dip it in salt. First time I take salt, and all of a sudden this tastes like heaven. You know, I was sick and tired of eating crackers with salt or sugar and fruits. So all of a sudden this potato felt amazing. I had 4 or 5, maybe even 6, I don't know. I indulged in these potatoes. So I keep running, probably hit the 75, 80K mark. I remember 80K because there was a graffiti on the floor where it said, you reached the halfway point. At this moment, I'm still feeling okay. No leg issues, no feet issues, nothing. I mean, my body was stable. But entering the next 8 station, I felt pretty disgusted at the food they were serving there. And I took it as a hint that maybe I'm already full, I shouldn't be eating. So I had something to drink, and off I go. By this time I feel debilitated, and I enter the next 8 station. I get there. At this point I'm feeling nauseated, not only disgusted by the food, but actually, you know, almost dizzy. So I tried to force feed a couple of things into my mouth, but they were horrible. I mean, I just couldn't. And it made me feel like I was probably gonna vomit at some point.
Also, the whole time I really just want to fucking barf. I can't vomit. I haven't been eating as well because of that. So yeah, crazy shit.
All of this, I already knew this happens to runners under such situations, but I wasn't stressing out about it. Mentally, I was still okay. Physically, my legs weren't hurting. I had a good posture still. I was still confident that I had to get out of this dip. So I passed the second, the third aid station. I'm reaching 90K, 91, 2K. And I'm telling Simon, I'm not feeling well. And the problem was, I was power marching, walking and running whenever I could. But if I look forward too long, my eyes would cross. So I started seeing double.
If I look forward too long, I get crossed eyes. It's been like that for about 25 minutes. And it's so infuriating because it's making me more nauseous.
And I had to start running looking downwards. Issue with that was that every time I would stop and look forward, I'd get caught up in this wavy-like psychedelic visual effect. Everything was like kind of undulating around me, which made me dizzy as well. So I already knew, okay, something is going terribly wrong. I had never felt this type of drain, fatigue. I felt mushy. My arms were limp. And I was starting to lose hope. Definitely losing hope by this moment because I started even fumbling. So fumbling is when you walk like a drunk individual. Looking back at the data of my run, you can clearly see that after 90, boom, I completely suspended all efforts. It took me almost 2 hours to advance 5K. And I still wasn't able to eat. I was drinking Coke because I had heard that it helps if you have digestive issues. But drinking Coke and sugary stuff just bumped my sugar up and then dropped it. Bumped my sugar up and dropped it. And I had nothing left inside of me. All along this process, I'm talking with Simon and I'm talking with my wife and my daughter. My wife wanted to meet up with me along with my daughter at an aid station. I'm telling to myself, oh, that's nice. I'm going to feel better once I see her. So I was feeling hope that I would be able to advance, but that hope flipped. So now it was the hope that I'll just get there at the aid station and I'll quit. As a matter of fact, I already quit before reaching the aid station. I said to myself, nah, I can't. So I turned off my watch.
Doesn't make sense anymore. Haven't been able to eat anything. It just makes me feel dizzy and I want to vomit. But you know what? This is the first time I ever do something like this, so I'm happy I did this experience. I'm happy I learned. I'm sad that I let Simon down. He's been trying to motivate me to keep on going. Right now I just can't feel it. I can't see myself going for another 60 something kilometers. It just makes me feel worse and worse and worse. I mean, sadly I lost all hope right now. But on the other hand, I did learn a lot. Let this be a lesson for all of you. This shouldn't be a lesson to anyone. Do what you think that you need to do and try to push through and finish it. And if you can't, well, just learn from it.
started walking. Turns out my wife was at the wrong aid station. So I'm trying to figure out how she can find me. And so I'm walking along a river, beautiful path, fumbling, trying to not look forward, to stay focused, not get dizzy, not vomit. And from the distance, reaching the aid station, I see my wife and my daughter, and I'm like, oh, hell yeah. So my wife had the cargo bike, and she took the bike like a couple of hours just to get there. And with my daughter, and I don't know, I just felt such a relief and comfort to see her. I felt grateful that they took the time to drive the bike a couple of hours, and basically they helped me reach the last part of the race before I quit. So the rules of the race state that if you're going to quit, you either go back to the last aid station or you go to the next one, and you have to give your GPS transponder. And by this time, I was already just, floored, basically. I gave my wife the transponder. She gave it to the officials there at the aid station and said, he's a goner. I was a goner. I had given everything I could, and I was just not able to eat, to get more energy into my body. So I get there and I start getting shivers, like a shiver attack. So I'm cold. Mind you, it's 80 degrees Fahrenheit right now, like 28, 29 degrees Celsius. It's not cold at all. And I start shivering uncontrollably. And so I said, I'm going to call an Uber. My wife took the cargo bike and went straight back home. I'm extremely grateful she got there, and she basically saved me, I guess. I don't know. My daughter too, she played a role here too, because I was sitting in the Uber shivering, and I was really cold, and I got home, I take out the key, and I'm unable to put the key inside the lock because I'm shivering so much. And she took the key, my daughter, and just opened the door for me. So I took off my clothes, and what do I see? Like all this dust falling onto the floor. It's salt. I'm in front of the mirror, and I see all these flakes, crusts of salt throughout the body. And that's when, I basically realized I'm such an idiot, because I had a complete electrolyte depletion. The amount of salt I had on my body, there's no way in hell I ingested that amount of salt. I'm a heavy sweater. So it's the first time I run an ultra marathon, so I was lacking the experience. But definitely the preparation for it was good, but the strategy during the run was suboptimal. So I quit the race, 99K. And this is the summary of what I think happened. First, preparation was good. My training was good. My legs felt strong. My posture felt strong. Strategy during the race, the eating its and bits here and there was a good idea, but not attending to my electrolytes was just plain ignorant, now that I think about it. What other issues did I have? Oh yeah, I had some chafing.
My butthole is bleeding. My testicles too. Note to self: apply Vaseline before an ultra marathon.
Which at the beginning wasn't an issue, but then when I realized it was bad, it became an issue. So I didn't apply Vaseline or lubricant before the run. Big mistake. And so I was feeling something in between my butt cheeks. So I went into a Dixie toilet. I said to myself, I'm going to wash myself up, clean up. So I used the tissue, and when I see the tissue, it has blood in it. So yeah, right between the butt cheeks towards the testicles, I had a bad rubbing effect, which led to that area chafing. Yeah, that's basically it. I just bonked, completely bonked, and went down the rabbit hole and couldn't come out of it. So I was disappointed because I felt I let my running mate Simon down. He was trying to cheer me up and motivate me, but I was just going down the hole, and he, for example, had a magnificent run. One thing I would like to say about this run is that we were the only two runners that had never run an ultra marathon before. And we decided to do our first one as a 100-miler. And he was able to finish. So he did bonk as well, but he was past 130K when he bonked. And he didn't bonk metabolically like I did. He had like shin splints and a swollen foot. But, he has an iron will, determination, patience, because to finish those last 30K, he needed 10 hours. So he ran 130K in 14 hours, and the last 30K took him over 10 hours. So that's just admirable. And salute to you, Simon. That was an amazing accomplishment. I wish I could have done the same thing. Maybe next time. I told him, I feel really good about running this race, and I don't care that I quit at 99K. That's now my PB. But what he did, that's the way to go. Talk about entering the race and finishing with a boom. So, in summary, try stupid shit out and find out. Fuck around and find out. That's the formula for success. Even if you fail, you succeeded. If you gave it your best, you tried your best. I tried my best. Could have I given a more of a fight to stay on the race? Yeah, probably. But I was just demotivated completely because in my opinion, I bonked too early. So I hadn't even reached the 100K and I had over 60K left. And for me, just to imagine walking through the night, fumbling, shivering, I wasn't going to risk it, right? So next day, I see Simon. He comes by he after the race. Bless him, he slept in his car and came over to take a shower, still wearing the number. And I was walking well. Yeah, I had no major issues with the legs, no blisters, none of that. So I learned my lesson, and it's a trial and error situation entering these races. I mean, even people with experience sometimes bonk pretty early in the race. So I feel good, I'm not gonna be sad about running only 99K. And I did run consistently the first 80K, which for me was a big accomplishment as well. Shout out to everyone in the community. Shout out to Aldo from Crusades of Motivation. He called me, I think 2 or 3 days after the race, and we started talking, and he helped me also realize that it was definitely an electrolyte issue. I then looked it up. Some of the symptoms did coincide with what I was feeling, what I went through. And I never imagined this was the effect of lacking salt in the body. And that's something I learned about perceiving your body. Ask me a question, what's up? If you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe, turn on the notification, and never miss a video with Chris Shawarma. I bring the heat, I bring the pain, and I bring the joy. Big shout out again to my loving family. They have showed nothing but support for my training, and the moment I needed help, they were there to help me out. So All in all, a beautiful, fantastic experience, even if I didn't finish. And if you want to run an ultra marathon, just go for it. I mean, if you're not going to be able to finish the 100 miles, you think, just give it what you got and try it out. You know, that's the best way to test yourself. I was testing myself. Did I feel I tested myself to the limit? Sadly not, but that doesn't mean there won't be another opportunity. And shout out to Gus and Derek Towers. They made a video giving a shout out to Simon Tragesa and me, and they asked a beautiful question. What's your 100 miler? Everyone has a 100 miler inside of us. So what's yours? In their case, their 100 miler was trying to achieve 1,000 muscle ups, which is just mind-blowing. And they also went through a situation like mine where they bonked. And it happens. It happens. It's just part of being a human. Sometimes you're able to tap into a deeper source, probably like Simon did, and push through. And sometimes not. And that's okay as well. As long as you give it your all and give it your all. Take care. Keep running. Keep repping. You know what the deal is. Get that money.